Thank you so much for inviting me here. So it's amazing to be at Satyam. And I think the first thing which I could observe and probably in an organization as big as Satyam was that fact that it already has a startup culture in the company, because I could see the flat hierarchical structure across the organization, and of course, as echoed by CP, that is, he believes that Mahindra Satyam could actually be the one of the world's largest startup, and I could actually recall a similar statement which was made by Steve Jobs, who still made the statement saying that Apple happens to be the world's largest startup. So I think it's and that across the organization to have that mindset of actually working for a startup and having that innovation spirit. So to start off with, I landed up in the IT industry by accident. So I hail from a middle class family. My dad used to work for the armed forces as a scientist. I was in my 9th grade in my school. I went to Air Force school, and the pocket money I had was like 15 rupees per month. I had a life to study veterinary science, and I was really fond of animals. So it so happened that in my school, I had all my friends who happened to be from a well-off family. So they all had like home computers. So they used to walk into me, and in front of me they used to exchange floppies, or they used to exchange CDs for Need for Speed, and at the same time I didn't have a home computer, and at the same time, so in our school we didn't have this IT sessions as well. So it was only the basics which we used to learn at our school. So I was really fascinated, and I felt that okay, I was an odd man out amongst my friend circle, and I felt that okay, I need to show off to my friends that even I could do something. And I knew that I can't walk into my father, or I can't approach my father to say that okay, I've got friends in school who all have a home computer, so even I need one. I knew that my father's paycheck would not allow him to actually to buy a home computer then. So so what I did was I approached my elder sibling, my elder brother. He used to study in this engineering. So in our family, we had this rule similar to the video game. So as and when you move up your academic ladder, the pocket money would also increase. So for him, the advantage was his pocket money was about 150 rupees per month, and at the same time, if he used to visit the internet shop or or so-called cyber cafe, my dad used to additionally subsidize for him on his spend at the cyber cafe, because my father was always with the impression that cyber centers are always made for academic work and project work, so he's able to use it. So I requested him if I can accompany him to the internet shop, and he agreed. I finally sat next to him in the internet cafe. It was the first time I could feel the mouse, and I had my first email address on Hotmail. I was so excited to have my first identity the first identity of mine on the internet. I waited for my school the next day. I waited for my lunch break. As soon as it was lunch break, I walked up to the blackboard to actually mention my username and the password of my email address, because I had this misconception that if anybody needs to send me an email, of course they should know my username and password, because they have to log on to my mailbox to send me an email. So it was kind of a misconception with what I started off with. And I was really, really fascinated by the world of internet. I felt that okay, I have to go to the internet shop again, and I could upskill myself, and I could actually show off to my friends that hey guys, even I know internet and I know how to operate a PC. So when I was cycling back home, I happened to realize that the internet shop in my neighborhood was not open from approximately 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And to use the internet for every hour, I had to pay approximately 100 rupees per hour. And the pocket money I had was like 15 rupees per month. So I'm not somebody who saves pocket money on a piggy bank and visits the internet shop after 6 months. But I knew that I can't be asking my brother every time to go to the internet shop. So my school used to be over at about noon, and I looked at it as an opportunity. Okay, it's fantastic. The internet shop is not open from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I see that the shop owner is very likely to shut down the shop for his lunch break. So I thought that, okay, I could actually ask the shop owner if I could operate the shop when he goes for his lunch. In exchange, I would use the internet for free of cost. So So of course, within me, I knew that it's very likely that he would say no, but at the same time, I would not lose anything. So if I'm not asked, or if I'm not even attempted to ask him, I knew that I would actually be, there's high possibility of me missing on an opportunity. So, so in one of fine evenings, I met the shop owner, I requested him, and I spoke to him as if I was extending a favor to him, and I was not expecting a favor in return. So of course, over the years, I have to realize that it's what all my sales, of all my sales and marketing friends in a company would do it. That is, to set an impression as if you're extending a favor to your to the business partner. So the cyber center owner, he was extremely happy about this. He felt that, okay, I need not have to invest anything, and I could still make money in this afternoon, and I still can have my lunch. And I could have this high school student manage my shop when I step out for lunch. And I hail from a family where entrepreneurship is supposed to be a sin. So you can't walk home and say that, hey mom, I'm starting my own startup. So it's a stereotype thinking of the family. So we didn't have any entrepreneurs in the family, or the business understanding. So at our family, it was the same mindset. That is, you finish your engineering, and after you become an engineer, study MBA to become a banker. So it was kind of the mindset at our family. But so I knew that I can't be sharing to my mom that I would actually be going to the internet shop every day after my school. So the first lie to my mom was that I joined NCC in my school, and it's mandatory for all the boys. So I'd be arriving to home after 4 p.m. And so like this, it happened for 6 months. I've been an open source evangelist, so I had access to the ebooks available for free of cost. I was an amateur. I started to learn how to build websites. So I had this Shubdev who used to run this internet shop. So he used to help me that saying that, hey, I've got some of my friends who are NRIs in the US. They may need some websites, so why don't you build some websites? And you could make some money out of it. After that, you could actually buy a laptop itself so that you could show off to your friends that you have a laptop. So it was kind of the incentive, and he used to mentor me always. So I felt that, wow, okay, so I could make static websites, simple HTML websites. So I started to build websites for them. Over 6 months, I finished my 9th grade. I was in the final year of my schooling, the board exam, 10th standard. So the preparatory exam, I failed in my mathematics paper. And it was absolutely shocking for my entire school, because the first reaction from my school, from the staff at the school was, so when we had the parent-teacher meeting, my mom was standing, and the first comment from my head teacher was, your second son is horrible compared to your first son. Your first son was always a first bencher, first rank holder, but your second son is actually failed in a subject. So how will he make up to the board exams? And my mom replied back, yeah, I understand that, but at the school you mandated that all boys have to go to NCC. So immediately my head teacher replied that we do not have NCC at all in the school. And as soon as I walked to my home, I knew that I would have a hard time, because my mom was standing at the entrance of the house, and she's a typical South Indian Orthodox mother standing at the entrance of the house, asking you to swear on her head, saying that you should not visit the internet shop unless and until your board exams are over, and you need to focus on your exams. And by such a time, I had already started the freelance activities, and we had started a S corporation company in the US as a virtual company, because so now the main reason for me to float my own organization compared to a freelancer was, as a freelancer, we have this marketplaces where we upload the portfolio, and you would have American companies, or you would have the companies in the West who would want to engage your services. And when I was a freelancer and when I was building the websites, I had one of this American company who sent me an email saying that we want to offload some of our projects on the web, and we're looking for freelancers to undertake it. So if you're interested, you could send us your CV. And to be honest, I had never made a CV in my life until that time. So I went out to the internet, how does a CV look like? So I picked up the standard format of a CV. And the first thing I was really surprised with the CV was the first page you need to fill up your academic qualification, the second page you fill up your skills and hobbies and your interests or the experience that you had. So I didn't want to mess around with the format, so I filled up my academic qualification saying that I finished my 9th grade in CBSE board and currently I'm studying my 10th standard. But I happened to realize that my academic qualification was actually was not even filling up the whole sheet of A4, but my second page where I had to fill my skills and experience was not enough to fill up in the second page because I listed out all the websites which I built and the functionalities which included in it. I sent across the CV to the same American company which had asked me to send the CV, and they replied back saying that, hey Suhas, we looked at your CV and we realized that you're still 14. I don't think you still have a mustache in your life, so we feel insecure to work with school kids. And I think you should have the patience to finish your university and after that have enough experience to probably undertake such assignments. So it was the same kind of moment in my life where the fire in the belly was ignited, where I thought that instead of me sending across my CVs to others, why not I start receiving CVs from others and I start becoming an entrepreneur. And when Bill Gates can start his company at his backyard, why not me start my company at this internet shop? And I was not aware of any of those hurdles, which was a fantastic aspect, because if I was aware of all the hurdles that you would face as an entrepreneur, I don't think I would have started. But I knew that as an entrepreneur, it's always an adventure. And I knew that my family would not be backing me up. I wouldn't have a financial support. But ultimately, I felt that I still could start something and I still could actually show the world that, of course, even if you've not got a mustache, you still could do something. Yeah. So I realized that in India, you need to be 18 years to start an organization, and I was not allowed to incorporate in India. And I wouldn't have my family to support me in this. So Shubhdev again advised that, okay, so why don't you start it in the US? Because I heard from my friends that you could start a S corporation company in the US. It's easy. You need to pay about approximately 5,000 rupees or about approximately $100 US, and you can start a virtual company in the US. So we finally incorporated it in the US. We only needed a physical address in the US. I had a friend who was also a freelancer who used to live in the US, so we used his apartment address to incorporate it. So it was a virtual setup, and yeah, so that's how the organization had started. And when we had the board exams, I had to accept to my mom's request that I would study for the board exams and I wouldn't be visiting the internet shop for the upcoming weeks. And I requested her that I want to visit the internet shop actually for one last time before I study for my exams. So the last time I visited to activate my vacation response, saying that I was out in a sabbatical, so it was the first word which I learned called sabbatical, and saying that as a CEO, you can't be saying that you're studying for board exams. So, but I happened to realize that when we started organization from an individual to having an organization, so I realized that people started to accept me more seriously. It was more easier to scale up. After this particular incident, I happened to realize that for any organization to sustain and for us to scale up, it can't happen from an individual's efforts alone, but it's very essential for you to actually form a team. So that's how, so the freelancers whom I knew over the online network, I started to invite them to be on our board. I started to invite them if they could actually be able to share the workload which I started to receive. So we had 5 members to start off with. All of them had to work from home. And I finished my board exams finally with first class. And I invested all my summer vacations in sales activities to increase the number of projects in the company. I had one incident in my life which I certainly wanted to share you, that is, as mentioned by CP about the white spaces, which was very interesting because it's extremely important for every CEO or entrepreneur to have his eyes open for opportunities around him. So when I was 16 years, we were still a 5-member organization. We still used to build out 5 websites every month. And we used to sell the websites for brick and mortar enterprises in the US. It was all SMEs in the US. I used to send them an email, hey guys, we can make a website, we can make an e-commerce platform for you, are you interested? So all these American firms used to reply back saying that We are a 50-year-old automobile spare part manufacturer in the US, and for the past 50 years, we've never invested on any marketing efforts. We're meeting our sales targets, we're scaling up. I don't think I should be investing on a website, because for the past 50 years, even without a website, we've actually scaled up so much, so I don't think I need a website. So when I send the sales emails, I have to feel frustrated to see the kind of feedback like from all those suspects whom I used to send out an email saying that if they need a website, because all these SMEs whom I used to approach, you would tell that, okay, I'm not interested in having a website because we are meeting our sales target, so I don't think I need a website. So as an entrepreneur, the first lesson which I learned was not to accept the word no when you start accepting the word no, it would become a habit. So I thought I would leave no stone unturned to make this no into an yes. So I went out to the yellow pages on the internet, and I made a wild search called automobile spare part manufacturers in the US. So you find all these Michigan American manufacturers in the US. It shows up their mailing address, phone numbers, their website address if they have one. If not, it would actually show up only their email address. So I picked up all those organizations or all those firms who had an email address on any of the free email providers but had no websites. And I opened up an anonymous mail account or a fake email account, and it was a pseudonym as Michael. So from my pseudonym, I sent to all of them an email who didn't have a website but who had an email address to these manufacturers in the US, telling them that, hey guys, we're interested to import your automobile components, or we're interested to import your machine tools. I would like to have a look at your website. So all these organizations who didn't have a website used to started to reply to Michael saying that, our apologies, we don't have a website right now, but we can send you our stuff as an attachment to this mail. And I replied back from the same email account of Michael saying that if you've not got an email address, you don't meet my if you've not got a website address, you don't meet my supplier standards, we don't work with your company. But ultimately, I felt that from making 5 websites, we started to build 50 websites, so which meant that we also had to increase the headcount, but I was still not happy, I was still not satisfied, because somewhere in me it was, I was feeling that I had actually stepped out of the ethical fiber, and I felt that it was very important for me to be upfront to them, telling that I was the same guy who had opened up a fake email account as Michael and sent you this email, because I felt it was very important for these American firms to know that. So I sent all of them an email saying that I'm extremely sorry that actually a few weeks back I had sent you the email as Michael, because I only wanted you to have the understanding of having a website. And I also made a statement saying that if it has been any inconvenience for you, I'm willing to build your website for free of cost. And of course, within me, I had this fear that is, you could have any of these nasty American companies who would want to sue you as well, but I knew that I was still under 18. So I knew that, okay, probably as a worst case, I would always be in a safe bet. So with this, I felt that it was very important. So when we are in the business, it's very hard to say that, what would be your ethical framework? So probably the ethical framework which I have as an organizer, which we have established or have established as an individual, would not be the same for someone else who is in another industry. So it's up to the individual and the entrepreneur to set up the ethical fiber and the value system, which I felt is extremely important, and to see that we do not actually step out of it. And of course, another incident which I would like to share was, we used to work with e-commerce companies in Spain, and we felt that there's a huge opportunity in non-English speaking countries. We felt that if a majority of the Indian IT companies, the freelancers from India, are all actually focusing on the English speaking world, so we could actually focus on non-English speaking world. And we saw there was an opportunity in Spain, but we realized that we can't speak Spanish, and we didn't have any employees who could speak Spanish. So, and the Spanish e-commerce company wanted to offload the work to a web solutions company, and I knew that the Spanish company had to invest an exorbitant manner if they had to engage freelancers or programmers from Spain. And when we sent them an email, they indicated that, okay, I'm happy with your proposal, everything, but unfortunately, we can't speak we can't speak fluent English, and we can't work with a company who can't speak Spanish. So we would want to work with an organization which can speak Spanish. So that is when we felt that we as an organization would not be able to hire Spanish-speaking employees. We approached an organization called as ISEC, and we started to recruit some interns who could speak Spanish and English, who acted as a bridge between our company and our end partners. So it was like a winter sale offer for all these companies whom we had approached. We were offering about approximately 50% or half the price which other companies had estimated to them, which were from Spain. So we were able to always, as an organization, we always operated actually in bootstrap mode. So it was very important for us to make sure that we're not spending on those resources where we felt that it would be very short term. So we felt that, okay, in case if we could hire interns instead of full-time employees, and if they're able to fulfill our request, actually it would work. So we were a self-funded organization, and it was when I was 18 years is when we actually incorporated the organization in India. We started it in Bangalore, and we made sure that our first office was exactly opposite to the internet shop where I started off with. And I still remember that is the first day of our office when we had inaugurated. I invited all my employees outside the office, and I indicated that I was sitting exactly 4 years back in this internet shop. I was wearing my school uniform, and my cycle was parked outside while incorporating this company, because that was a huge motivation for my employees. So as an organization, we used to build websites. After that, we started to build e-commerce solutions. We started to offer outsourcing services to hedge fund managers. But after that, we felt that as an organization, we would not want to be another company which is offering services, but we'll focus on product space. And if we could innovate on products for education sector, we envisioned that there's a huge opportunity for us. So when it was education industry, one of the most exciting component for me was when I was in my school days, I used to have my faculty who used to mark attendance every day. And they had to wait for the parent-teacher meeting to hand over my attendance sheet to my dad. And after me starting my own organization, I knew that my attendance was always very low. And my dad would always be informed about my attendance after 6 months during the parent-teacher meeting. So I thought we could innovate a nasty system where they mark the attendance and it sends out an automated SMS to the parent's phone saying that your son or daughter hasn't come to school as soon as they mark it. We made it for free of cost to my own school after I was outside the school. And my school had amazing feedback. So the parents loved it, my school loved it. And I felt that, okay, now we have this attendance management system, so why don't we scale it up? So we started to add all other modules. We scaled it up as student information system. We moved it on a SaaS platform, and after that we started to focus on public education system to automate the state education system. So that's how we moved into this space of education. So for individually, I had some hurdles which I wanted to share with you. That is, as I indicated, I hail from a family where academic qualification is a must. So they insisted that immaterial. You have an organization, you have employees, everything's fine, but we still want you to actually finish your education. And they sent me to an engineering school in Bangalore. I studied there up till 4th semester. So the funny part was my HR manager used to recruit the students from my own college, the seniors. So my seniors always exempted me from all those introductory sessions, as you are aware. And when I was in my 4th semester, I had a severe shortage of my attendance. And the minimum attendance that is required by my university was 75%, and it was exactly the same shortage I had, because that was the same semester when they inducted me on the ICT Advisory Board of the World Bank. I was all excited that it's a multilateral organization. I could advise World Bank on using ICT for public services like education. And I had this letter from the World Bank as well, which was addressed to my HOD saying that he's attended all these meetings, so he may have possibly a shortage of attendance and if they can exempt. So when I had to receive my hall ticket, I met my HOD and presented this letter. And my HOD's reaction was, I don't care if you work for State Bank or World Bank, as far as you have attendance shortage, we can't issue the hall ticket. And I knew that I had no way out. So as soon as I stepped out of my HOD's room, it was the most unforgettable incident of my life, because as soon as I stepped out of his room, I had this young lecturer who had finished his M.Tech, and he was my lecturer for algorithms. He walks into me and tells that, okay, I see that you also have a shortage in my subject as well, so why don't you meet me in the staff room? So as soon as I went with him to the staff room, to my surprise, he opens up his CV and hands over me his CV, saying that he saw on our website there was an opening for a senior software engineer, and he handed over me the CV. So as any other CEO who do it, I had to reply the same thing, that, okay, I'll forward this to my HR team and they'll get back to you. So had to be diplomatic. So of course, with this, I wanted to walk you through a very small presentation which I built. How do you go back? Okay. So I've heard this saying that actually within my family circle and also within the society circle, saying that actually with age comes wisdom, but I would also say that with experience comes wisdom. So it is something where we had an amazing example from CP itself, where you need to lead from the back. So when we had to inaugurate with this lighting the lamp, I didn't see CP who was in the front to actually he didn't want to be the first person to light the lamp, and he invited others to do the honor. So I think it's extremely important for CEOs or entrepreneurs to be at the back and to see that if your team has any issues, if they are facing any hurdles, it is when actually you move into the front and assist them. This is one of the amazing sayings from Nelson Mandela. So it's always better to lead from the behind, to put others in front. And especially when you need to celebrate the victory, nice things occur. So this is an amazing saying which I happened to listen it from Mr. Bill Gates when I happened to meet him in one of the World Economic Forum annual meetings. So he made this amazing, past is always a thief, and if you allow it, it will steal your future and the present. So as entrepreneurs, as individuals, at times we're always worried about the past incidents that's always happened in our life, and it's extremely important that we're not so much actually worried about the past, but we also focus on the future and the present. It's important to have differentiation between the personal and professional life. So in fact, the saddest thing is not that the saddest thing is when your dreams die when you're still alive. So as a leader, it's very important to have the vision and always to do the backward planning to achieve this vision. Trust but verify is one of my favorites. I had this example in my company where I had a project manager who used to report to me, and he was with us. He was with us for approximately 4 years, and he always used to indicate that, okay, customers are happy, so we're able to invoice on time. Everything's in order. So on final day, I happened to receive one notice from my customer's attorney saying that they want us to actually pay back all the money which they had paid because the software was not aligned, software is not hitting their standards, and the functionalities were wrong. So for almost 1 year, I went by his words, assuming that everything was in order, but actually one fine day, I had to experience a bad news. So it's one of the habits that we have as CEOs or as entrepreneurs, that is, we love to speak public speaking, even though as individuals we're introverts. When it's a professional atmosphere, we would like to be, we want to speak more, but it's extremely important that when you're with your team, it's important that you speak less and listen more, soften the flow always. So you need to look for alternatives to mitigate the problem. This is extremely important. That is, if anybody is speaking against you in a boardroom, it's extremely important that you need to accept it as a feedback, and instead of you uh, uh, if you need to exaggerate or if you need to speak against him. So it's extremely important that you need to be patient enough to allow the other person probably to speak against you if needed. Expect the unexpected. I've been an optimist in my life, but it's very essential that you also be practical one. This is one of the amazing slogans or an incident from Edison, that is, he had failed 1,000 times, but he felt that the invention of the bulb was at 1,000 steps. So it's something which is one of my favorite. That is, I've always felt that as far as you have the fire in the belly, it's extremely important that in any project assignments that you do, it's not because your managers or your bosses are asking you to do it. As far as you got the passion, as far as you got the fire in the belly to execute it, I think you should undertake it. If you've not got the fire in the belly, if you've not got the passion to execute this job, I don't think you should actually accept it for the mere sake of monetary benefits or incentives. So it's extremely important that if you enjoy your job, if you have the fire in the belly to execute it, all other incentives, monetary benefits, brownie points will always follow to you. Can we start the video called Inspiring? It's actually one of my favorite animated videos. So.